the regionalization feasibility study. Also want to point out that I'm joined tonight by our liaison to the township, Peter Fallon, who's also on our board. And when we talked in July, we were talking about the fact that we were investigating the process of putting together a feasibility study and submitting it to the state to provide us with the funding to support that process. I'm here tonight to report to you that we have filed that application as of today with the state, and that we are moving forward in that process to conduct a feasibility study on consolidation and regionalization, as well as shared services amongst all of the districts, sending districts and constituent districts of the high school. And what I'd like to do is just share with you a summary from the application itself that will provide an outline of exactly what it is that this study will look at. So, the Watchung Hills Regional High School Board of Education, as the lead agency, is proposing a study to investigate the feasibility of combining the lead agency together with the existing constituent K-8 districts, including Warren, Watchung, and Long Hill Township, and their existing send-receive district, Greenbrook Township, into a single PK-12 school district. The district will also review other possible consolidation combinations within the existing group, and will also look for specific areas of shared services. The study will review 5 alternative scenarios. The first being status quo, meaning we stay as is. The second will be that Watchung Hills Regional High School District, along with Warren Township, Watchung Borough, Long Hill, and Greenbrook will come together to form a PK through 12 all-purpose regional district, meaning all of the districts come together into one single unified district. The third option is that the high school will combine, the high school along with Warren, Watchung, Long Hill will form a all-purpose regional district, and Greenbrook would enter into a sending-receive relationship with those 3 constituent districts and the high school forming the regional district. The fourth would be any combination thereof. So it could be a combination where Warren and the high school combine to create a K-12 school district, and the remaining districts enter into a send-receive relationship. It could be that Warren and Watchung, along with the high school, combine into a regional, and Long Hill and Greenbrook are in a send-receive relationship. So any combination of the districts, we're taking a look at what the benefits may or may not be related to that. And then the last version is really the status quo, but implementation of significant shared services agreements. So those are the 5 basic elements that we're going to be looking at. And the objectives of the study are to explore the following areas. The first being educational impacts based on the new configuration. What's the impact on the educational programs for our students? The racial impact of a new configuration. That's required by the state to ensure that there's no inequities created as a result of the new configured school district. The staffing impacts of the new configuration, financial impacts of the new configuration, including impacts on the taxes for the residents, as well as the individual district bonding issues and things of that nature. Impact on school buildings and facilities, impact on governance, and the impact on legal considerations. So that's basically the summary of what we will be looking at as part of this feasibility study. I will reiterate that we don't have a position on whether or not any of this makes sense to do. We're not advocating for regionalization. What we're advocating for is let's take a look at it and see if there's anything that we can learn that will then benefit both the students in our educational system and the taxpayers that we were elected to serve in this community. The timeline for the way this is going to play out is we expect that it'll take about 2 months for the application to be reviewed. Once approved, it will probably take us 30 days to do an RFP to get our consultants in place to actually lead the study. That puts us the study beginning sometime in late May, and we would anticipate that there would be a public report prior to the end of the year. So that's the timeline that we're looking at. The budget that we've put together for this particular project is $140,000. That money is being paid for by the state, so it's not going to cost the taxpayers any money whatsoever, but what we will get is information like a new demographic study, cost analysis, and understanding what the benefits may be of all of the various categories that I've addressed. So recognizing that, as you well know, all too well, 65% of our taxpayers' dollars go to K-12 education in this community. And we feel it's our obligation to take advantage of this opportunity to see if there's a better way to use those funds, both now and as we move into the future. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, and I'm sure Peter would be happy to answer any as well.
Well, just one question, because I just finished the campaigns, you know, so I probably went to 2/3 of the residents, and
unlike Mr. Croson, who actually went to all of them.
And I was with Mr. Croson for most of mine.
I remember that when you called on me.
I knocked on your door, and I've got to tell you, there was more questions and concerns with schools, not just K-8 primarily, but there were more questions for him than there were for me, a lot more. And they were very, very upset over the K-8, talking about re-establishing maximum minimum age limits in the schools. Another topic, but what I did discover, just for your information, and you don't need to comment on it, is that there is a support for a K-12, but not with sending districts, not with sending receiving. They're saying we'd support a consolidation of our administration so that there's one K-12 system, but nobody wanted a send-receive relationship. And I'm just wondering, is that, you talk about 5 options, is that the 6th, or that's not possible? And you and I met last week, so I know we talked about some of these things, but is that not possible because the others don't have a home? So
just so that I understand what you're saying is that you're suggesting that people were saying that they were looking for a K-12 Warren-only district that would have no send-receive relationship with the others. Yeah. Technically, is that feasible? Probably. Would it make sense, in the long term? Probably not, because in that instance, you would be leaving other districts without a place to go. And I think that in this scenario, what you could have is a K-12 Warren district that then has a relationship with the other current constituent districts of the high school.
But I suggest, and I'm pretty confident the answer is, if we put on a referendum, the option of K-12 with the exclusion of other surrounding towns, it would pass.
That could very well be.
I'm pretty confident in that because I've talked to thousands of people in the last year.
And I think ultimately it will come down to, what does the study tell us? What are the benefits, that exist? What are the implications that come out of this? So, I'm not one